gonna backtrack. And you should have kept my name out your mouth. That's though how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give me something you can talk.
Oh my God. Ew. Ugh, one day I'll figure out how to work StreamYard. Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine? Wednesday. Okay, it is 2:04 p.m. I just want to get the elephant in the room out of the room real quick. There are some reports going around that the jury, it even fooled me a little bit. Reports are going around that the jury has been selected. That is not accurate. The jury hasn't been selected. The jury pool has been selected. There's 45 jurors in the jury pool, but then they have to further still select the 12 and the and the 6 alternates, et cetera, and that is going to apparently go down on Friday. Okay, so all that being said, what we have been doing here on this channel for the last 2 days, on Monday and on Tuesday, and now we're going to do it again today, we've been going over the tweets in sort of like chronological order, not only just the tweets from Inner City Press, but also we have been reading articles, reading updates from other reportings, etc. So that's what we're going to do today. And such that whenever people go back in the past and they want to watch these videos in a row, it's just going to all go in a row with how the jury selection happened. And it all went down day 3 just in the past few hours. So let's go ahead and jump right into Inner City Press's tweets, as we have been doing. I have linked his Twitter. At the top of all these threads, you can find many, many ways to support him. He has a Patreon. He has a Substack. He has books. I'm sure, you could just follow his social medias, his Twitter, his YouTube, all of that. Credit where it is due, because without Matthew Russell Lee at Inner City Press, I don't even know how we would even know what was going on in this courtroom. Okay, so exactly. There's rounds. EHC Bunny says there's rounds of selection. It's like being in a pageant. The rest are in the semifinals. Right. It's like, maybe they got their golden ticket to Hollywood Girl, but they are not in the jury yet. Okay, so let's just start at the top of the thread. I already have it pulled up here. Okay, now U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 3 jury selection, as peremptory challenges are pushed to Friday. Okay, so why are they pushed to Friday? I'm really not sure. Is he going to get, he's going to get into it right here. It's the first tweet in the thread other than the main title tweet. All rise. Okay. The feds say, we propose to do the peremptory challenges not today, but on Friday morning, in case some of the jurors come up with new reasons not to be on the jury before then. The judge said that's fine. So I don't know if that was supposed to be sarcasm. I don't really know what that exactly means, but it is the case that a lot of the jurors had filled out the questionnaires a certain way at first, and then maybe they just forgot about a certain answer, and now all of a sudden they remember. There does seem to be a lot of like, oh, just kidding. I'm not proficient in English all of a sudden, even though on the questionnaire he said he was, stuff like that. Agnifilo out the gate, first thing out his mouth on the tweet, as far as the tweet is concerned, is like, we want that HBO juror number 29 out. We want that one out. Agnifilo says, Tina Garagos of our team was on emails with the production company of the HBO documentary. People were paid. Okay, interesting. Okay, so Agnifilo is saying that's all fine and good to push this peremptory challenges out back to Friday. That's all fine and good, but we shouldn't have to. I think this is what's going on. I'm reading the tea leaves here, but I think Agnifilo is saying we should not have to use a peremptory strike on this HBO juror we have some more information. Your Honor, here is the information. This is Diddy's lawyer, Agnifilo. Tina Garagos, that's Diddy's lawyer, that's Mark Garagos' daughter. She was on emails with the production company of the HBO documentary. Okay, so whoever produced the HBO documentary, because there's like these companies that then produce documentaries for larger streaming services. So the documentary company, or excuse me, the production company that made the documentary, Mark Agnifilo is like, people were paid. The judge is like, okay, is this documentary coming up at trial? Agnifilo said, I believe so. Okay, so breaking news. I have an announcement to make in the first or second little few tweets right here at the beginning of this thread. We find out some information. Some of the evidence which will be presented at trial has to do with the HBO documentary. Breaking news. Okay, as of today. Okay. The judge asks to the feds, we didn't ask her about pay. The judge said, shouldn't we exclude her? Okay. So long story short, the juror that was the HBO documentarian, they were a photographer who worked for HBO. And this person did still photographs like that go on the side of buses. She said there was only 5 people in that role at all at HBO, which I found to be very, very interesting. It seems like a huge company and they only have 5 still photographers. Very interesting. But the long and short of it is that person has been excluded. The assistant U.S. attorney, the feds agree. Everybody agrees. The judge agrees. The feds agree. Diddy definitely agrees. So that person is out now. Out. Okay, now moving on, it's Tina Garagos is going to speak out now and says, the juror who works for her justice. Okay, I remember this juror. Actually, y'all are going to love this. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but I do have it on the side here for my use. I started this is juror 131, I think. Yes. 65 years old, lives alone in Westchester, manager of operations at Her Justice, married, no children, news from the Today Show, reads Essence magazine, not a TV person, but watches Chicago Police Department, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and likes R&B. Y'all remember that juror? That's 131. I don't know. I guess we were assuming it was female. I don't remember if we got the gender of this person, but I guess we'll say she. Yeah, she. They're saying she. She was before. Okay. This tweet is written in a sort of confusing way. I don't know if it says exactly what it's supposed to say. It's okay. So Tina Garagos. Okay. All right. So where are we in the context here? They've pushed off the peremptory challenges, but we're still doing 4 cause challenges. And what's happened is last night, Diddy's team went and did some research, did some fact checking to see if they could find any of these people lying about anything or whatever, right? So they come back today and they're like, the HBO person needs to go. The HBO production company is on emails with Tina Garagos. We got to get rid of that. And so everybody agrees. Okay, moving on. There's another person, another proposed juror they want to do this with, and it's Diddy's team bringing it up again. Tina Garagos, the juror who works for Her Justice. Before that, she was at Legal Aid, the Legal Aid Society for juveniles in family court. There was a question number 14. She did not disclose that on question number 14. So y'all know I do have those as well. Let me pull up the questionnaire. We can get question 14, see exactly what she was supposed to be answering. Let's see. Here we are. Questionnaire should be docket number 315. Here it is right here. Question 14. Here it is. Have you or has any member of your family with whom you resided at the time or a close friend been employed by or received training? Employed by or received training from any local, state, or federal law enforcement agency? Okay, well, is legal. Yeah, okay. So legal aid, I guess they're saying would count as a law enforcement agency. So Diddy's team is saying this lady lied. She freaking lied. That's what they're trying to say. That's what Tina Garagos is saying. She did not disclose this. Diddy's lawyer goes on. She did not disclose any legal training. I was an intern at Legal Aid, Tina Garagos said. This is Diddy's lawyer. She's like, well, I interned over there. I interned at Legal Aid. And I know the office managers there. They have a lot of input. Judge said, Teeny, are you saying that the juror lied? I think she lied in the individual questioning, not group. The judge said, maybe she didn't get training in law there. Garagos said, based on my experience as an intern there for 3 months, I think she did. And judge said, okay, when did the defense become aware that this lady worked at Legal Aid? Tina Garagos said, we just became aware yesterday. Then here comes the assistant U.S. attorney, the feds, the government. They're like, hold on, no, an office manager does not get legal training. Judge says, I find no reason to think she lied. Maybe Diddy and his team just don't like her prior employment. That's why y'all get peremptory challenges. Bring in the jurors. Okay, all rise. This is the United States versus Sean Combs. I expect it to run 8 weeks. And then the judge gives the same introduction as he has been giving each and every day so far, which is like, don't tweet about this case. Don't read about this case. Don't talk to your wife about this case. Don't talk to your cat about this case and all of that. So, all that. Ashley, I did make a video on that, the little right stuff. I was reading some of y'all's comments. So happy to catch a live. Thank you for all the hard work. Okay. You're welcome. Okay. So of course, next up is going to be juror questions. And if you can like and support Matthew Russell Lee, there are all his links. I did leave his link to his Twitter here, so you can click all those links whenever you go there or any. Okay. So the judge says, we're going to begin with juror number 146. But first, the judge looks over to Tina Garagos. And remember, the jurors, you got to think of things kind of from their perspective too, right? Because all this stuff just went on in the courtroom. They didn't hear it. Like, I think she lied or whatever. They're like all the way down the hall. So they come in, and then the judge looks at Teeny, who he's still like having a conversation with. And he's like, how long was she working at Legal Aid? Teeny said 3 years. Miss Comey, the prosecutor, implied she worked on office supplies. I think it's more than that. Okay. So the feds were like, okay, she worked on office supplies. No, she was a freaking office manager at Legal Aid, and that's legal training. I worked at Legal Aid for 3 whole months, and I know I was an intern, and I know everybody gets legal training over there. The judge said, okay, fine. I'm going to think about it. Her justice also provides legal services. Okay, so she disclosed that. Tina Garagos is saying, like, we have to get rid of juror number 131 because she lied. And also, even if she didn't lie, her justice provides legal services, so she got to be excluded for cause. Okay, in comes juror number 146. This is a male. The judge asks him, you had a family vacation, but you're back now? Do you have any yes answers to the questionnaire? We just looked at the questionnaire. We saw, question 14. He says, no, I have no yes answers. Remember, the yes answers were things like, have you worked in certain fields? I'm just wanting to update my Excel spreadsheet to allow for this man to be in the jury pool so that I can show y'all at the end. What is this? 146. 146. Male. He's in. No yes answers. Okay. So moving right along. Juror number 220 comes in and says, my mom is a guidance counselor in the Bronx. My dad was a substance abuse counselor, and now he works for a company that sells cannabis. That was quite the turn of events. He was a substance abuse counselor, and now he works for a company that sells cannabis. What's the name of the company? The judge asks. The juror said, Cannabis. And my stepfather was a New York State parole officer. The assistant U.S. attorney says, could you ask about question 31? Okay, this is very interesting. Juror 220 said, we are alumni of the same high school, meaning Diddy went to the same high school as this juror. I'm assuming this juror is younger than Diddy because his parents are, working at weed companies or whatever, but maybe not. They go to the same high school. They went to the same high school. It's the Mount St. Michael's. And y'all, I'm telling you, have to go read the Whitney Webb. One label under blackmail is the name of the first part. Maybe the name of the whole series, but she touches on this high school. And I want to make a whole video on it. But the only reason I know it is because of her research. So I got to give the credit where it's due. It is her research. And I don't want to be, misquoting it here. So I'm telling you to go read her research. It's free. You can read it. One Nation Under Blackmail. But she talks about Mount St. Michael's. And she pieces together from the public record that when Diddy was actually at that high school, there were cases of students that were Diddy's age, even some seemingly in the same exact class as Diddy, based on kind of trying to figure out the age. Because, whenever you turn 7 or whatever, when you're a kid, if you turn that age before November, October, then you're in the class below. So you can't always exactly tell exactly from someone's age, like when they graduated. But, you can see that the people that have like cases of documented abuse at this high school went to the school at the same time as Diddy was there. Now, that is not to say he was abused. That is not to say that he abused anyone. That is not what I'm saying. That's not what Whitney Webb was saying either. But it is very interesting that this school, it was egregious stuff. I don't want to get into to the details because number one, I don't exactly specifically remember, and I don't want to misspeak on something so important and serious, but there was like abuse at this school and it was rampant. That's definitely what I can remember. Okay. And this juror 220 went to that high school as well. Then Mark Agnifilo asks the judge, can we come up and do some little whisper kiki by you, judge, real quick? And the judge is like, yeah. And then the judge speaks out to the juror 220 and says, do you remember retweeting a meme about Sean P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs? And juror 220 goes, most likely. And the judge goes, a picture. Do you remember? No. The judge said, why didn't you mention it? He said, I was doom scrolling. Poor Judge Subramanian said, what's that? He said, like moving around the internet. He left, but nobody made any application. So he shared a meme or retweeted a meme about Diddy. But Mark Agnifilo and Teeny Garagos and them weren't like, no, he has to go. So I don't know why they didn't, but he remains in the pool, juror 220. The next juror comes up, male. He says, I work at Acme Supermarkets. I think this means judge. You didn't answer if you could discuss matters of sexual nature with fellow jurors. The guy just sat up there silently. Gave no answer. There's a lot of this like zombie-esque type behavior being described. Like people just sitting up there and saying like, or like, I don't know. Like, a lot is lost in the tone and all of that because we're just reading words, tweets, abbreviated, paraphrased, but just very strange. She just sat there silent. So he gets thrown out. Goodbye. Okay, juror number 224 is answering the question. There's a question on the questionnaire. Have you ever worked as a security guard? Do you know anybody that's worked as a security guard or something like that? Juror 224 says a relative worked in security in buildings. The judge said banks, parking garages. The juror said no. The assistant U.S. attorney, so the government, the feds, they say, could you ask if he's seen the news about the case? The juror, 224, he says, I heard Diddy was accused of ST. That was about it. The judge looks over to Diddy's lawyers. They have no questions, no motions on juror 224. Moving on, he's in the jury pool. The next juror, she's a female. She has to pick up her daughter from school every day. Nobody else is going to be available to do it. So she gets sent on her way. Moving right along. Juror 263. I don't know if this is a woman, a man. My family is in the security alarm business. We deal with law enforcement, messy situations. Okay. The judge said, and you identify with the law enforcement? The security alarm business person said, yes. So basically, Diddy's guilty. The judge said, okay, you're excused for cause. So it's a lot of them getting knocked out. Boom, boom, boom. The clerk says jurors number 268 and 275 are not here. So we're moving on. We're going to go to 279. Okay, so we're not doing good here. There's a lot of misses. Okay, right? 224 in the pool. And then the next one, not in the pool. 263, not, gets kicked out. 268, not there. 275, not there. 279 also can't be on the jury pool because look, 279, a woman. I have a close girlfriend whose son works at 300 Records, a rap and hip hop label. I did not see him on the list. Another friend has a son who's in country music down in Nashville. Oh, gotta get rid of him. You look at the Universal Music Group Publishing right there on the wall. Lou Taylor, TriStar Sports and Entertainment is right there in Nashville. Nope. Aiden Canfield. Oh, Canfield. They should have called him Aiden Canfield. That would have been a good one. Okay, so this juror 279, interesting. I wonder what they do for a living. There's a woman. She said, I have a close girlfriend whose son works at 300 Records. That's a rap and hip hop label. I didn't see him on the list. I have another close girlfriend who has a son in the music business, but he's in the country music business down in Nashville. This is Aiden Canfield. So, what does this mean? Got in the plugs. She is excused for cause, but got in the plugs. I don't know what that means. Clerk, to clarify, the jurors who are not here. Okay, so we get an update on those jurors 268 and 275. Get an update on them. The clerk's like, okay, just to clarify, those jurors who are not here, they were instructed not to come by agreement of the parties. So Diddy's side and the government side agreed. We don't want them to come back. We don't want them to come. So they agreed. That's why they're not there. It's not like they just like didn't show up or something. Because some people were starting to say like, oh, are they missing or something like that? No, nobody's missing. Next juror comes along, female teacher. Again, so like that one that we just saw with the two girlfriends who have sons that are in the music industry, she was excluded. The next juror comes out, also female, a teacher, middle school, Manhattan School for Children. Oh, that sounds really bougie. I saw the footage from the hotel and I said he would be guilty. But I'm from the South. I was told how you can catch a case and everyone turns against you. So I can be fair. No applications. She's in the jury pool. Again, y'all, this doesn't mean she's going to be on the jury. It means that she's one of the remaining 45 that they're going to then dwindle down. So she says, I did see the footage from the hotel and I said he would be guilty. I don't know how she would say he would be guilty if she's also from the South and knows you can catch a case and everyone turn against you. Like, why then would she say he would be guilty if she already knew that? It's not like she just all of a sudden was from the South. You're from where you're from. I don't get her logic at all. I think I would have probably moved to strike her. Next juror comes. She's also a teacher. Oh no, she just works at a school. Okay, I work at Bronx Arts and Science Charter School. I take trainings. Okay, so she's taken some of these trainings. You have to answer yes to that question on the questionnaire. I seen the Cassie video on the internet. Did he do it? I have 2 daughters, you know. The judge said, you have a bias? She said, yes. So she's excused. Another female comes through, juror 292. She said, I don't do social media. I've never talked about these issues with strangers, but I think I could. No motions. She's in the pool. So juror 292, let me just at least take down the numbers of the people in the pool. Can start here. Okay, so I don't do social media. Okay. Juror 295 answered on questionnaire about personal history. The judge said, can you answer here? She says, it depends how much detail. The judge said, I'm going to ask what happened. And she says, to the side then. Okay, so this is the part where they did give the potential prospective jurors and I think this is good, the ability to not answer certain things on the paper. And if they wanted to answer kind of more confidentially to the side, just to the judge. Now, this will go in the transcript, but it will be on the confidential portions of the transcript. So it will be redacted. Okay, they come back. She says, my parents are doctors. I went to law school. Wow. The judge said, do you practice? She said, for my husband's financial services firm. So she's kind of like in-house counsel for her husband's firm. My brother-in-law, who is in Russia, was mugged. So is her husband a Russian financial services firm owner? Because her brother-in-law's in Russia. Her husband has the financial services firm. So does the husband have ties to Russia? Not that it matters. I'm just curious. Anyway, he was mugged in Russia, the brother-in-law, and was beaten and hospitalized. I think my brother had a desk appearance ticket for the Devil's Lettuce. I had a grandfather investigated for organized crime in the Bronx. What? The judge said, do you have any insight into racketeering? She said, no. Okay. Then Diddy's lawyer comes in, Teeny Garagos, and says, excuse me, Your Honor, could you follow up on question 26, please? The judge looks to juror 295 and says, you saw the video? She said, I did, but I think I can be fair. As an attorney, I feel a deep ethical duty to do that. I'm glad she does. Listen, we got to give it up for the lawyers who actually feel a deep ethical duty to do something, because y'all should see how the clowns are running the circus out here right now. This is not the case for all of them. So I hope she's telling the truth. So she ends up being in the pool. All right, moving on. Okay, this is easy. Juror number 300 gets in there, says, it's going to be difficult for me to be impartial. The judge said, okay, get out of here. Excused. Moving on, juror number 303 is a female, worked at Cerritos, guarding, is that Securitas or something? I don't know what that means. Guarding the New York Historical Museum. The judge said, okay, so this must be one of the companies on the list. Cerritos, a security guard company. Okay, breaking. We get a little bit of insight, a little bit of news right here. If you read between the lines, it appears to me, and again, I don't have any special insight or knowledge other than reading these tweets. Okay, but what it appears like to me is this Cerritos. Again, I'm not even sure this is spelled right. I don't know, but Seuritas. This woman, this person, this juror 303 worked at Cerritos, guarding the New York Historical Museum. But then the judge asks her, do you feel positive or negative about the company? And she said negative. The supervisor thought men were gods and women were peasants. Also, my brother was convicted of GUNS. She said, I have a negative view of law enforcement. This is very interesting though, y'all, because if you read between the lines here, as I get off the tweet, sorry, gotta find it again. Okay, right here. it looks like she worked as a security guard, and she's saying that this security guard company has a sexism problem, treats men like gods and women like peasants, which absolutely would make her bias in this Diddy case. But she also is, I think it's being implied by the order of these questions that that is one of the companies on the list. So is this one of the alleged so-called co-conspirators? Is this one of Diddy's firms? I mean, I don't know. But nevertheless, she has a negative view of law enforcement. She's excused. Thank you for being so honest. Moving on. Juror number 307. I've heard about the case from you, the judge. The judge said, good answer, and they send her back. She's in the pool. So 307 is in the pool. 316 comes in. Juror 316. Male. I feel I should not be in the jury. The judge said, why? He said, I don't really know. I don't have anything against him. The judge said, should be on or not? The juror 316 said, I don't know. What is going on in this carnival court? Okay, anyway, that person got excused. Juror 317 comes in, male. Now think about the fact that 317 people. We're juror 317. On day 1, we started juror 2. Okay, now we're looking at juror 317. He comes in and the judge starts laughing, y'all. It is a small world. He comes in and the judge starts laughing. The judge says, how do you know the judge? He said, we did antitrust class actions together. I also knew former U.S. Attorney Berman. The judge, okay, so this potential juror did antitrust class action lawsuits together with Judge Subramanian. I didn't know that he had that in his past, but this person apparently worked with the judge before. And the judge goes on and asks another question though. Did you know anyone on the list? Juror said, I may have worked for Diageo. Juror said, I've had jury trials. I believe in paying it back. A longtime client in a singular industry will require counseling in regular hours in the next few weeks. It would be difficult for them. The judge said, do you work around the clock? The juror said, I was up all night last night. I'm supposed to testify before the Judiciary Committee, but I think they would understand. Okay, this person has too much going on. They need to be excluded. The client in a singular industry will require counseling. So someone's going to need legal advice during business hours in the next few weeks. And it would be difficult for my client. Agnifilo passes up a note, but then not before this guy says, oh, also, I'm supposed to testify before the Judiciary Committee. The Senate Judiciary Committee? He's supposed to testify before the Senate? Wait, hold on. Who is this person? He's a lawyer. I've had jury trials. He worked with the judge. No, I'm getting rid of this guy. He worked with the judge and did antitrusts. He knew former U.S. Attorney Berman. He maybe worked for Diageo. I don't know how to say that. He's got a client that's going to need require counseling in regular hours the next few weeks. He works around the clock. He's up all night, and he's supposed to testify before it seems like the Senate Judiciary Committee. But then he goes, but I think they would understand. Diddy's lawyer passed that question up to the judge on the notepad or the little note, sticky note or whatever. The judge turns to 317, juror 317, and says, is your client going to be ill-served or relationship impaired if you have to be on this jury? Juror 317 said, it may be, it meaning it's probably a company. It's a transaction. So he's going to be like the guy that's helping do the transaction. He leaves. The judge asks, are there any applications? Are you, anybody wants to move to strike? The government said he seemed unbiased, but he might have an outsized influence on other jurors. Okay. Agnifilo said, I have no issue with his relationship with this judge, but he's concerned with his client. Like his mind is going to be off wandering about the client. Agnifilo doesn't want to take away a lawyer from a client or whatever. Now, it's very interesting to me to see this being done on the back end, because when I was in law school, I was told, just hang it up. You're never ever going to be on a jury. As soon as you tell them what you do, where you went to school, even if you're not even a lawyer anymore, if you say you went to law school, nobody's going to ever have you on a jury. One of my teachers kept getting called for jury duty, and then he would be like, excited about it. You got to think about it, like a law school teacher wants to be on jury duty. And it's like, when they find out you're a lawyer, they don't want you to be on the jury. And it's like, I never really understood exactly why, but there's some hints, right? And then they do tell you this, like, he may have an outsized influence on other jurors. Like, what if it could be a hung jury, but you have this guy here that's worked with the judge, that's like the Senate Judiciary Committee special speaker, and he's got all of this credentials, and he's got all of this legal, and he's like, no, I definitely think he didn't do it, or he did do it, or whatever. He may outsize influence. So in any event, he did get excluded. So now I guess that was, let me go to what is that? Oh, he just really goes. Okay. I'm trying to find where we just were, because as you could see, whenever we were just there, the thread ran out. So I am I'm just trying to go back up to where we were. We were about between like 2 and 1 hour ago. I think we're close here. Sorry, y'all. Here's Sarita's mail. This is the guy who knows the judge. This one we just did. He's excluded. Okay. It looked like some tweets were missing. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. We did antitrust class actions together, supposed to testify. Okay, he leaves. Okay, excluded. Okay, moving on. Now, juror number 321, female. I saw the video, but I can be fair. There are two sides to every, I think that's supposed to be story. So she's in the pool. Juror 321 is in. Juror 324 comes in. This is a male. He says, I got into a fight. I pushed a woman's laundry. She had a phone. I got punched. What? The judge said, could you be fair? This person said, I don't know him. Then says, I worked as a security guard on the San Diego trolley. Walked up and down the platform. Blah, blah, blah. Judge said, let the record reflect. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's exactly what he said. So, okay. So one of the questions, the reason he's saying this is because one of the questions is, have you ever worked as a security guard or like in the security, guard industry or whatever? And he's saying, yes, I did. The San Diego trolley, blah, blah, blah. I went outside, got charged with failure to assist the police. There was a drunk. Why did you list this? He said, I have sleep apnea. I was binging. The judge said, binging on what? The juror said, Star Wars, the next one. Oh my Lord, y'all, this is insane. This person, I don't know. This person, I'd say strike. He said, no, or the series just came back on. I'm not working. I'm lazy. He's like, are you on medicine? The guy's like, no, I'm just lazy. And I just want to watch this new Star Wars series. I've been binging. He said, I heard Puffy got arrested again. I drive around taking x-rays. What? Then he leaves. The Fed said, the Fed said he was meandering, given his own personal discipline. Agnifilo said, no, we don't want him being dismissed. He is lighthearted. Binging Star Wars, let him do it again. Judge said, I'm not going to exclude him. Okay, so the Star Wars guy stays in. In comes somebody else, female, juror 326. She says, I work in healthcare. I've seen a lot of tweets about this. Oh, interesting. Interesting. The judge says, what's your opinion? She said, this is crazy. It looks pretty straightforward. She leaves. Agnifilo said, we moved to strike. Judge says done. So she's out. In comes somebody else. Juror 330, male. He was going to Nigeria. But it's probably not going to happen because I don't have enough money. Judge said, you work at the UN? I work at the Office of Counterterrorism. Okay, somebody get the freaking CIA. Somebody please get the spook off the jury. I work in the Office of Counterterrorism as operations manager. Please. I manage high-level conferences. Now the UN has no money. I know Matthew Russell Lee is eating this up. The irony. Y'all, that's his biggest nemesis. He hates the UN. I mean, I don't know if the whole thing he hates it. I shouldn't mischaracterize or anything like that, but he seems to have beef with them. Anyway, in our last conference in Kuwait, oh my God. We had a speaker from JFK Airport. We work with the ministries of foreign affairs, like the head of trade at the Serbian Danish embassy, like somebody like maybe like that. Not the lower level law enforcement, only international. The judge said, can you hear testimony from law enforcement fairly? He said, I can. He said, I don't follow celebrities, but I've heard the charges. Judge says, any opinions about the case? Not really. I don't follow TMZ. Oh, but you've been sitting all morning. In question 28, you said you don't like. Juror 330 said, I'm not pro-stitution. Judge says, have you worked with the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of Justice? This UN worker in counterterrorism, the spook of the... Y'all, when I say spook, I'm joking. Okay, just, it's a hyperbole. I really don't know, but like, have you worked with the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of Justice? No, the juror that works at the UN says. Then I knew it. Matthew Russell Lee, I knew it. He was going to say something. He said, no, the Department of Justice recently said that the UN is not immune for role in the October 7th stuff. Oh, yeah, the UN, I guess, is investigating that. Please do not ask me what is going on with it because I truly don't know. UN has no due process. Okay, there's a article there. Okay, so the feds are like, oh, no, we can keep the UN spook. We don't mind him. We like him. Agnifilo says his answers don't even make sense, not working with the FBI. The judge said, he said it's all international, Mark Agnifilo. Agnifilo said, he said Interpol. Please. He said Interpol, but what about the French entity that does his work? He could not name one. The assistant U.S. attorney said the UN is large. The judge said the juror is not going to be struck for cause, but I'll question him more about these agencies to see if there's anything we missed. Y'all, please get rid of this freaking guy. I don't want him on my jury. Huh. The juror will not be struck for cause, but I'll question him more if there's anything we missed. In comes the next juror, 335. This is a male. Says, I worked at the Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn prison. Okay, I guess this is where Diddy is. Is there different locations of MDC? It's all just one MDC. Everybody's laughing. Juror 335. I work at the prison where Diddy's being held. The Fed says, ha ha ha, no questions. Ha ha ha. Juror 35 said, we all set? Excluded. So I guess that was kind of like he knew that was gonna happen. Next juror comes in. We don't get a number, but we're told she's female. She says, my great uncle was unalived. The unaliver is still in jail. It was his daughter's boyfriend. Okay, so her great uncle's daughter, so like her cousin, that boyfriend unalived the dad. Judge said, could you be fair? She said, yes. I saw the video. I was shocked, but that's all. It looked violent, but my social media is mostly dogs and food. Nobody opposed her, so she's in the jury pool. Okay, they go on a break and they come back. This is about an hour ago. Okay, so now they're back, and an hour ago, Intercity Press says, and they're bringing in today's, quote, still in the pool in. So right now it's more, I think still more than 45 people. The judge says, all right, now we're going to ask the group questions. Remember, each day, this is the third day they've done this. They ask individual questions, then they bring the group back in as a group, and ask the group questions. So back to juror 146. This person is 34 years old. That's how old I am. Lives in the Bronx, single, is in the 32BJ union. Don't know what that is. Somebody tell me what the 32BJ union is. He reads GQ, Forbes, Soca Music. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? I think it's Caribbean. I think they just like Mandela affected us with Caribbean. Am I wrong? All right. So he likes cooking and running. Next juror in the group questions is juror 220. He's 31. He lives in Westchester with his mom. Slay, good for him. His girlfriend works at a startup. He likes to watch ESPN. He likes rap, hip hop, jazz. That is such an interesting combination. Photography, cooking, and he's in a fraternity. So he's 31 years old and he's still living in that fraternity land in his mind. Alpha. I'm just kidding. They do ask this question on a questionnaire, actually. They ask the question, are you in any fraternal organizations? I think they did ask that. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Actually, I don't remember, but I do think they asked that. So his girlfriend works at a startup. He's Alpha Phi Alpha, APA. Next juror says, I used to do window cleaning, video game magazines, Chicago PD. Everybody likes that show in New York City. Y'all must be the number one watchers over there in New York City of Chicago PD. Everybody loves this show. Everybody's wife loves it. Metal and R&B. Again, very interesting combination of music. Metal and R&B? Interesting. Mine are too. I'm not judging. Get video games. He likes food. Next juror, 281. 56 years old, I guess. Domestic partner is a teacher. They're both teachers. Yonkers, magazines, home and garden, music, contemporary Christian music. Pickleball is all the rage right now amongst the elders, y'all. Cooking, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Oh, yes, AKA. I know AKA. That's the, oh, yes, I know AKA. Yes, she's like in the fraternity, the sorority. Let me see. Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation. Oh, we're on the next juror. Okay. Next juror, Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation. Have a BFA in graphic design. I have seen this Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation somewhere really recently. It's ringing a bell. Has a bachelor's degree in fine art and graphic design. Wired. I guess that's where they get their news. Juror 336 is female. 32 years old, lives with her parents, work for the Juilliard School. Wow. Studied German. I watch Bravo, listen to rock and country from the 40s and 50s. I like baking. These people are interesting, y'all. Okay, juror 330 is back. We have the 37-year-old live with my girlfriend's UN official. So wait a second. It's a male juror that lives with his girlfriends. He's the UN official. He's calling himself a UN official. Get him out of here, y'all, please. I get my news from New York Times and UN's own news service. Can we the people get a little access to the UN's news service? Oh, and also Fox. What has different views? I watch Andor and Elsbeth. I don't know who these people are. Maybe I should. I'm the president of my condo board. This is still the UN official. I thought about it. I work mostly with the United States State Department. So with the Department of State, he works mostly with the Department of State. The judge says, what do you do with the UN? I do finance and HR for the branches. The judge said, you don't really work on counterterrorism. He said, we do conferences with the U.S. government. We work with the State Department. Judge says, but not with the FBI? He said, never. He said, Interpol, like how, this is what I'm trying to figure out, y'all. Why does it matter if he worked with the international police? That's what Interpol is. Interpol means international police. The judge said, have you ever worked with the FBI? He says, no. Juror says no, but then the judge says, and with the international police, you only did a conference? And he's like, yes. Next juror, 324. I'm 65. I live with my mother in the Bronx. No children. Unemployed X-ray tech. News from Al Jazeera, sci-fi, models, drones. I'm a Trekkie. I'm sorry. Okay, well, he's going to get into a fight with that Star Wars fan we had earlier. I'm just kidding. WFDU, SoCa Retro. I don't know what WFDU is. It's probably a radio station. Anyway, moving on. That was the 65-year-old that lives with his mother in the Bronx. No children, unemployed X-ray tech. That is interesting. And then we move it on to juror number 321. And this is in the part of the day that has group questions. They're all in the group together at this point. I lived 24 years old, live in the Bronx. I live on my own. Perk aroma, spouse in West Africa. Okay, so this person is married to someone who lives in West Africa. Interesting. All right, moving on. Juror 307, I'm a nurse in Forest Hills. My husband is at Montefiore. I don't know what that is. I read Nurse Magazine. I watch Wheel of Fortune, behind the scenes. Oh, no, BTS. No, BTS concerts. Okay, moving on. Juror 295, a female. I'm an attorney in Rockland County for my husband's firm. No children, JD. I read every major news source. How do you read every major news source? She said lo-fi. Judge says, thanks. May I have the lawyers at the sidebar? So then the lawyers come up to the sidebar. The judge announces, this is 1 hour ago. You are all finished for the day. Do not read anything on the internet. You may be called back for May 12th. Okay, may be called back for May 12th. That is Monday. That is the start of the trial. Judge says to Maureen Comey, Miss Comey, remind me, why are we coming back in on Friday? She said, well, in case some call the jury office and try to get off the case. The judge said, if you do the strikes now, we could still have enough. Maureen Comey said, the maximum alternates is 6. We don't want to waste peremptory challenges. The judge said, cold feet are going to happen regardless. There may be work to be done, though, says the U.S. attorney. Other than peremptory challenges, we may have other arguments teed up for Friday. I'm just reading through a little bit to see. Okay, so the judge did not want to come back Friday. He wanted to do this today. He says, all right, so there's a concern. There's a concern going on, and it seems to be mostly a concern of the feds. They're saying, Your Honor, some of these people are going to call us and be like, oh, all of a sudden I have an opinion. I can't, whatever. People are going to want to get out of this. There's many reasons or whatever. And so what if some of these people call? I don't want to be like, okay, we want to get rid of juror 46. Okay, for example, let's just say, I just made a number up. I want to use one of our limited strikes to get rid of him, but he wasn't going to show back up anyway, right? So I can see where they're coming from. Why waste? That's what the U.S. attorney's argument seems to be. The judge says, but if you do the strikes now, we still could have enough. The assistant U.S. attorney said, yeah, but the maximum alternates is 6, and we don't want to waste our challenges. The judge said, well, even if we do it now, if we do it Friday, people are still going to get cold feet regardless. And then the U.S. attorney kind of gives away a little bit more of her answer and says, yeah, but there, quote, may be work to be done other than peremptory challenges. Like, you know how Diddy and his lawyers went and found where somebody worked and some other stuff that got people excluded so they didn't have to actually waste one of their challenges or 2 of their challenges. The feds are now kind of saying like, well, now we want to do that too. Agnifilo said, why don't we just bring everybody in on Monday and we'll strike them with them present? The judge said, no, I propose we do the strikes right now. This is an hour ago. Agnifilo then seemingly kind of siding with the government says, okay, what about Friday? Fine, Friday. We'll go with Friday. That's what the government wants anyway. And the judge is like, he says as early as possible. Judge says 7 a.m. and laughs. And then he says, okay, 9 a.m. on Friday, but get me the other filings early so I can address issues on Friday. The monikers we use are over. Okay, so moniker means the name that you're using, like victim 2, victim 3, Jane Doe. That's a moniker. It can also be known as like an alias or whatever, pseudonym. This is U.S. attorney said victim 2 and victim 4 they still have the monikers. They said, this is the feds. The first witness, we try to maintain anonymity. Who is the second witness? Okay, so the first witness, I don't know if that's the same thing as the first victim, because see, they're going back and forth. Like, is the first witness also the first victim? It could be, but technically these are different things, witnesses and victims, although they can overlap. So in this case, it is unclear if she means they're going to try to maintain Cassie's anonymity, because that's victim one, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know for 100% because they've never really said it, but they do. They say victim one is the person who's represented by Douglas Wigdor. They say victim one is the one who is in the CNN footage at the Intercontinental Hotel or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't know exactly who these are referring to. The judge then says, who's the second witness? The Fed said moniker. So this person's going to go by a name, some fake name. Judge said, okay, fine. Email me and copy Diddy's team. So it's not going to be in the docket. We're not going to get it. I think that's what Intercity Press is saying right here too. Okay, the judge then says, defense to Diddy's team. Are you going to be using demonstratives in your opening statement? And that is where, whenever lawyers get up there in front of the jury and they're doing their opening, they're saying what this case is going to be about and what you're going to see. And you're going to see evidence of this and you're going to see evidence of that and blah, blah, blah. The judge is saying, are you going to have some poster boards? You're going to be having something in your hands. You're going to be having some visual aid. That's what a demonstrative is. Agnivalo said, I don't know. I might. Who knows? That's all the way on Monday. I couldn't tell you. The judge said, okay, see you Friday. Yeah. So I know he did do a video. So let's go to his video vlog. I'm looking at his, he's answered a few questions. Okay. This was about an hour ago. He put this up. Let me turn it up and let's see what he had to say.
All right, here we are, Matthew Rosalie, Intercity Press, here outside the Southern District of New York Courthouse, where day 3 of Sean Combs' jury selection has just taken place, and they've now reached 45 jurors in the pool. Now, we'd expected them to be exercising their peremptory challenges today to decide on the final jury of 12 plus 6 alternates, but in the morning, it was raised that both Sean Combs' defense and the prosecutors agreed they want to do it Friday. I guess the rationale was that some jurors may still want to drop out. Actually, the vibe has been that jurors want to be on the jury. There have been people sort of downplaying what they've seen on the internet, etc. Interestingly enough, there was one guy who was a personal friend of Judge Subramanian, had done some cases with him on antitrust cases. He almost got on the jury, but Sean Combs' lawyer said, concern for the guy's client, very collegial, he's off. Now, there's a guy from the United Nations. He works in the Office of Counterterrorism. He sets up conferences. I think he wants to be on the jury because he downplayed significantly his connections to law enforcement. He was like, no, we never deal with the Department of Justice, only Interpol. Later, he said the State Department.
It did kind of seem like he was like trying to get on the jury. And I'm like, why is this UN guy trying to get on the jury?
And he also said he's not going to a conference in Nigeria because we have no money. The UN has no money. That's news to many because they see waste taking place all over the place.
I told y'all he hates them.
The guy seemed eager to be on, and it's interesting to me that he was not asked, for example, that the Justice Department has recently changed its position on whether the UN is immune for its role in October 7th. So we'll see whether a peremptory is exercised on that particular juror. We have all the info. We covered all 3 days, so we know who's in the pool, and it'll be interesting to see who gets knocked off by whom. So we will be covering that Friday, and so watch this space. Intercity Press, to be continued.
Nice. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Leverage, for the $20 super chat. Would you do it if you were selling? Okay. Thanks so much for the $20 super chat. Happy to be here live so I can support all the work you do. That's Surprise Witness. Trademark. Question, would you do it if you were selected for jury duty for this case? Would you tell them you have a bias or could you be fair? I think I would say, I mean, it depends. It depends. It depends. If you would have asked me this like 8 or 9 months ago, I think I would have said, yeah, I'm biased. I think he's just a bad guy. I think he did some bad stuff. After seeing this freaking circus of, I don't think the prosecutors have done an extraordinary job so far, frankly. I don't think that like Busby kind of really fumbled the ball, and just different things have been going on now where I'm like asking questions like, why aren't they going after, for example, I don't know, like whoever taught Diddy his ways? Like, you think he just learned it on his own? Like, what's really going on over there at UMG? What's going on under the Clive Davis hood? I mean, I've just been starting to think about other things as well, but not so much so that I'm like, oh, Diddy's innocent. So I actually think if I had to answer the question today, I would say I'm not biased. I would say I'm very much looking forward to seeing the evidence, because I need more evidence to know what happened. Because in this case, you have to remind yourself, in legal cases, a case is only as good as what the person is charged with. And I think this is a fundamental flaw, something that has happened with the government. They have charged him with something that I think was like a little bit lofty. I think they're making the same mistake with Luigi Mangione, because they're going after the unalive penalty whenever they should just be going after something that they can definitely get. And I feel this way with the RICO. At first, I was like, yeah, they're charging him with RICO. That must mean they found a whole enterprise. But who else is the co-defendant? We don't know one co-conspirator. We don't have a single co-conspirator named, and it's a RICO. So if the question is, did he organize and run a racketeering conspiracy, I would say I'm not biased. I would say I need to know more. I would say my mind is open, and I could probably see both sides. That being said, I don't live over there, and just by virtue of the fact that I've made so much commentary about Diddy, they would immediately exclude me on this. So it's just, a silly little exercise. I think I could be fair, truly. Thanks so much, Rabbit. Hit the like. There's some rabbits in the chat. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Thank you for being in here modding. Yeah, if you get booted out, just come on back in. He sounds like Philip Shepard. Is it Secure Diddy? I don't know. The person who said absolutely not on the first question will forever be my favorite, next to the font lady. I do like that font lady. Don't let me be in the same room with liquor around these fools. Let's see. I'm going to the bottom of the comments here. I don't know who victim 1, victim 2 is. Let me look up the pacer. I'm going to look up the docket right now and see if anything's been filed. Before I went live, there was nothing yet filed since yesterday. But we're really getting down to the wire, y'all. This is Wednesday. They're going to be coming back on Friday to do their peremptory strikes. And this is apparently allegedly to give both sides, Diddy's side and the feds, some time to research these people, probably figure out which ones they want to, quote, waste their peremptory strikes on. They only have a certain amount that they can say. They don't really have to give a reason. They don't have to tell. They're just like, we got to, no, it's just a gut feeling. I don't like this one. Got to get rid of them. But they only have so many that they can do. So they're kind of putting a little bit of a pause between. They were supposed to be done today. They were supposed to do those strikes today. And indeed, in fact, I mean, it's still 2 more hours. They still had like 3 or 4 more hours today by the time they were done. So interesting. I don't really know what that's about. I'm pulling up, and I don't know how common it is. I'm pulling up the Diddy docket before, just rush out of here, because I want to see if anything's been filed. I do want to let y'all know Cardello Smith, Derek Lee Cardello Smith, has filed another lawsuit, another writ of habeas corpus against the people over there in the county, Macaulay. All right. Let's see if there's anything new filed here. I don't really expect there to be. No, okay, there's not. The most recent filing was yesterday, the 6th. Wait, Make It Make Sense is in here? Love you. Who do you think is victim 3? I don't know, because they're saying she's missing. But not in the filings. My comment section's saying she's missing. But did you see, Mims, did you see right here that the order to Diddy's motion at 236 was denied? It was an order having to do with victim 3. Because look, hold on, where is it? The government no longer intends to introduce the evidence at issue. And the evidence at issue is in 276, 277, which is like up here. 276, 277 is precluding testimony of this doctor about addiction, and then precluding, Connor McCourt, which is the CNN tape. They're not trying to put the CNN tape at it. I don't know. This feels like 236, 76. What's 236? It feels like it has to do, alleged victim 3. See, 416 motion, Diddy filed a motion to exclude evidence relating to victim 3. Okay, but it was so redacted. And then down here, it's like the government no longer intends to introduce evidence of this. And then the government also said they don't know if victim 3 is going to even come up in the opening statements. They don't even know if she's going to testify. So I don't know who is victim 3. They're saying it has to be KK. Well, we do have some clues. I mean, some of the clues are he was in a long-term relationship with victim 3. Another clue is that this is the alleged victim that was supposedly forced to get some type of cosmetic procedure. And that was, or not, excuse me, I should not say cosmetic. I don't know that that's true. Medical procedure, I think, is what it was being characterized as. Gina, oh man, I think I said her name right yesterday. Can I say it right again? Gina Huynh? I'm looking her up. Who is she? She's his, people were saying that was his ex-girlfriend, right? And Diddy. Oh, okay, wait. Oh, wait. Yes. Oh, yeah. This is the one who said that she got stomped on and all that. Y'all remember her? It was really bad. Her. I could see that being her. A lot of people think that. Look, Angela said, I think it is. Yes, Mims in the chat. And Mims in the chat. Shout out to Mims in the chat. Go away. So yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my number one guess, because y'all think that's her. I didn't really have any strong. Yeah. Where's Ava? I do not know. There's a Tasha K interview. Yeah. Oh, that was on Tasha K, that interview. Interesting. Very interesting. I do think she might be getting. The thing is, y'all, they said victim 1, 2, and 3 were all long-term relations. They all had long-term relationships with Diddy. And it seems like they meant romantic relationship. And then they said victim 4, alleged victim 4, is a long-term employee. And I think that's probably, I'm biased. I'm wishfully thinking that's Dawn Richard. Because she worked with Diddy Dirty Money, and she's suing him as an employee under certain labor codes, whatever, and then specifically like copyright. So I'm wondering if, oh my God, I would love that. We've already done a joint live one time before. I mean, there was other people. You think KK flipped which way? Against Diddy? You think KK is going to be a witness? Oh my God, we should do like a pre-trial. Me and Mim should do a pre-trial notes comparison. If you want, no pressure. I know it gets crazy out here. Yeah, we're just playing guess who. We don't know. People are saying, yeah, KK flip. What is Gorianna? That's my name. That's my music name. Oh my God, that's so funny. What about Aubrey O'Day? Yeah, we have three, right? So if one is Cassie and one is Gina, who would be the third? I mean, we've heard Young Miami possibly could be. We've heard J-Lo. We've heard some of y'all in the chat think it could be J-Lo. Mimi's like, yeah, she flipped. She had to flip. KK has not received any special immunity. And y'all also, did you know that Mark Garagos recently came out and said yesterday that he is representing Janice Combs in an undisclosed matter? I found that to be interesting. What about Brandon? That's what I want to know. Did he get some type of deal? Oh, Gina, I see empowered. I'm not going to pin that, but I do see what you're saying. The Star Wars. I'm binging Star Wars. Mark Agnifilo liked him. Daphne Joy, La La Land. That's Ooh, she got brought up in the Lil Rod Jones lawsuit, and allegedly, according to Lil Rod Jones, she was receiving payments from Robin Greenhill of TriStar Sports and Entertainment. I mean, these are allegations. These are allegations. There's a lot of surprises for Combs coming up in his trial. I hope there's some surprises for us as well, because I'm not going into this thinking anything. I'm like, what? I hope, y'all. I hope, and especially if he did it, my God. Gene Deal. I think all 4, victim 1 through 4, and this is what they're calling. This is what they're calling them. I would call them something else. I do think calling people victim like beforehand, it does kind of fly in the face of innocent till proven guilty. And a lot of people don't like to be called victims. They don't like that word. They don't want to be called a victim. So there's that as well. Bana. Okay, good to know. Mim said Bana. Let me write it down. I feel like I'm doing an LSAT problem, y'all. Bana, definitely a victim. A quote victim, capital V. Because why? Oh, she was the girl held over the balcony. Mark my word. It will be Cassie, a male S worker. What if it's Jonathan Oddie? But the 4th I'm holding out for Gina. She was forced into 2. Okay, but Mims, but listen, the victim 1 through 3 are long-term relationships, and victim 4 is an employee. Was Gina employee? Because one of them, victim 4 got to be an employee. It's got to fall under like a forced labor employee code. Oh, she was an employee, Rabbit is saying, because she was a designer. I do remember this. I'm having a vague outline of a memory that she designed some clothes for Sean John. I know. Can I just send you, Mims? Can I send you a link, an invite link, and you just come in here and tell us? I'll send it to you. You don't have to come on though if you don't want to. No pressure. Because it seems like more than me on some of these. You've put in more thought into this than me. So I'll send it to you. I'm gonna send it on Instagram. No, shoot. Sent to the wrong thing. Okay, y'all, we're trying to get, just give me a second. I gotta do some administrative things right here, trying to send this link. Where is your Instagram? What the hell? Did you delete it? Okay. Wait, what did he say? I don't know how to send it. Oh, he can't join anyway. Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe next time. Or y'all can go over there and watch his channel, and then he's probably going to tell you. What is Audie's update? That's a great question. I do need to look into that. Apparently, Jonathan Audie, there's been some evidence come up in his case that maybe perhaps this is just me reading like a tweet and an Instagram post. Okay, y'all, I got to look into it. That's what I'm saying. Like there's been an update, but I'm not prepared to like really talk about it or give, whatever right now. But I've read that apparently there's been some new evidence come up in Jonathan Audie's case that actually does seem to back up his previous allegation of specifically that he was at least around Diddy and had some type of settlements or something with Diddy. I do need to look into it though, y'all. I'm at the hospital with my sister. I can't say, oh my God, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. And oh my God, I hope your sister feels better. Oh, everybody send some prayers to Mims and Mims' sister Mims. Totally understandable. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was like really on the spot anyway, even if you weren't doing something so important. He dropped the NDA, they saying. Can we talk about Audie and Cardello? Cardello Smith has a new lawsuit filed. Okay, hold on. Rabbit's got a breaking. TMZ is reporting that they are having a hard time contacting victim 3. They said Audie signed an NDA and a settlement. Okay, let me investigate. Let's go TMZ, victim 3, Diddy, missing. What do I type in? 2 days ago. What the hell? Okay. I mean, it is being reported by TMZ. Okay. Diddy. Let me do this. Diddy prosecutors under pressure to get victim number 3 to testify in court. Diddy prosecutors, federal prosecutors are under pressure relating to one of their star witnesses in the Diddy trial. Because they revealed in court today they may not be bringing this alleged victim into court to testify. The alleged victim in question is a woman, and the feds revealed Monday she doesn't live close to New York City, where the trial is being held. And they say she told the court she might not even show up, despite being subpoenaed. Prosecutors claim they're having difficulty contacting the woman and her attorney. The judge asked lead prosecutor Maureen Comey if the prosecution planned to drop the woman's name in opening statements. Comey said the prosecution would not be getting into the woman's story until the second part of the trial. And during opening statements, the woman would be described as one of the many women who have allegedly been abused and as exploited by Diddy. Diddy's lawyers told the judge prosecutors need to tell them what they plan on doing with victim 3. And they need to do it by the end of this week. And that'll be this week right now. The judge implored the feds to make every effort to reach the woman's attorney and secure her appearance. As for Diddy's appearance in court Monday, we're told he covered up his neck tattoo with his sweater and a collared shirt, and none of the prospective jurors made eye contact with him as they came in and out of the courtroom. Overall, we're told things were mild and copacetic during the first day of trial proceedings, with prosecutors and Diddy's lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, working well together. Diddy and Agnifilo passed notes back and forth throughout the day, including one that appeared to be a question Diddy had about one of the jurors who said they did not like to see violent videos. Ooh, this is giving us a little more context than we got from Inner City Press, which is understandable. You can't tweet everything that goes on. What's more, the article goes on, we're told Diddy was very chatty with his attorney, Teeny Garagos, including a moment where he helped her sit down at the defense table. Interesting indeed. Okay, so they're also reporting about the Audi case. Let's see what that is. Now, the Jonathan Audi case is very interesting because they keep on pushing. Oh my God, y'all. They keep on pushing the trial back. Now he's acting like he's going to be trying to do the reason for mental insanity. He's going to be trying to plead not guilty by reason of mental insanity. Here is the article. This is from the New York Post, came out just 6 hours ago. It says ex-bleep star who bleep Trump resort and claimed to be Diddy bleep slave signed NDA with rapper in exchange for $5 million. Beep shell report. Okay, so I will try to get this document, and I will make a separate video on this just because we're like, an hour and something into this video. But why not just take a look at this now on the live? Okay. He had signed an NDA with a disgraced rapper, according to a report on Wednesday. That's today. So this is breaking news today. He was arrested in 2018 after he was reportedly caught on camera carrying a United States flag and ranting about the president as he stormed into the lobby of the Trump National Doral Golf Club before getting into a beep out with cops. Following his arrest, he made a series of claims to police, including that he had been kept as a bleep slave by Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. And I remember at the time, people that believed any of that were called conspiracy theorists. Now, I didn't really look into it because it did appear to me at the time, I mean, this is all the way back then, it just seemed like everybody kind of already had made their minds up. I didn't know he hadn't been convicted or tried or whatever yet either until I kind of got into the Diddy case about a year ago. But it was kind of like little by little by little, a lot of the really crazy stuff he was saying in that interrogation, it turned out to be kind of like not false. Like at the time, he's like, oh, I was kept as a S slave by Cassie Ventura and Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. It's like, yeah, right. And Beyonce showed up as your Uber driver and sent blackbirds as extreme witchcraft. I'm so sure Cassie and Diddy kept you as I mean, that's probably how it was received. He says, basically, he would, take care of himself and tell me what to do to Cassie. I was like a bleep for them. And that's what I was, he said. A picture of an NDA allegedly signed by Audi and Combs in Miami in 2014 has emerged today, seemingly backing up the former beep star's ties with Diddy, who is facing trial for alleged abuse and the king. Adi said he agreed to do the NDA in exchange for $5 million, and it was signed around the same time as he divorced his wife. His wife's an attorney, Tanya Troutwine. She told the Daily Mail, which first published the document. Wow. Is this the same ex-wife or a different ex-wife who has been in the court hearings? There's been like an ex, or maybe it's his current wife. Adi said he agreed to do the NDA in exchange for $5 million, and it was signed around the same time as he divorced his wife. And that's what she told the Daily Mail. We'll go to that. They're the ones that broke the story. The date of that contract was around the same time as our divorce. I feel like he divorced me because he came into all this money, and so I wouldn't claim any of his money, his ex-wife said. But our lives were already going in different paths. I started feeling like a third wheel in someone else's life rather than a wife. Adi started to change after moving from his job as a stripper at bachelorette parties to becoming a beep star. Okay, this is something I've covered a lot on my other channel, BJ Investigates, and make sure you're subscribed over there because this is something I'm going to be talking about a lot more in the coming videos. How this industry that we have been told we're not allowed to criticize, we're not allowed to have any issues with, we're not allowed to call disgusting and deplorable even in any way at all whatsoever, because if you do, you're being shaming, you're kink shaming, you're bleep shaming. No, that's not what's going on. Things happen to people in this industry. They're victimized and they can't say nothing about it because they got the freaking morality police out here saying don't shame people. No, it needs to be all agreed upon what's abnormal, everybody. Anyway, this guy, Adi, he said he met Diddy around this time at a party at the ultra exclusive Star Island in Miami Beach. That's where Diddy's house is, the $48 million house that TriStar Sports and Entertainment had appraised. Now, this is the Met Gala. They did just have the Met Gala 2 nights ago. But of course, this was years ago. But he met him at a party on Star Island, said the wife. As Adi spent less time with his wife, she believes he started partying more with Diddy and Cassie. Just as those radiating personalities. Diddy just has those radiating personalities. And I can tell he really enjoyed the attention, you know. He likes to be the king. Johnny would have played perfectly into that. Okay, let's go to that Daily Mail article. This seems to be like the exclusive breaking. Yeah, look, exclusive. Trump Hotel Pew Pew, extraordinary links to Diddy that prove viral conspiracy theory. Got any new conspiracy theories? Because all my old ones came true. Prove viral conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theorists are right again. Honestly, it's a badge of honor to be called a conspiracy theorist at this point. We keep being right. Daily Mail podcast, Trial of Diddy, available wherever you get your news. Oh no. They got the story hidden. Oh, they dirty. Oh, they wrong for this. Hold on. Let me see if I can get in. Okay, here. Oh man, I can't get in here. This sucks. Okay. God dang it. How are we going to see it? I don't want to freaking subscribe to this stupid Daily Mail. How do I get it without having to pay? Daily Mail. Diddy party. Diddy Adi. I want the exclusive. Golly, they suck. How do I see it? Apparently it pops up in chat if you got copy what's there. I don't get it. But he sold the houses. Google the PDF. How do I do that? Just type it in and say PDF. No, that didn't do anything. Well, I guess we can go back to the New York Post article, whatever. Since these people want to be stingy. Talk about gatekeeping, huh? All right, here you go. Adi said he agreed. Okay, so the date, the contract, same time as the divorce. They had filed for divorce by August 2014, but they were still on good terms. He kept on insisting that we sign the divorce paperwork, which I thought was very odd how he wanted to get things done so quickly. It was only later that I found out he had signed this agreement. Adi claimed he was making just $2,000 a month as a fitness trainer, and he had a net worth of negative $1,800 in the divorce documents. But despite that, he went on a spending spree less than a month after the divorce was finalized, buying 5 distressed properties. What? Huh. So Jonathan Adi got all this money and bought 5 distressed properties for $765,000. And he did this in the span of 2 months. This was reported by NBC Miami, citing the Miami-Dade County property records. All of the properties were purchased mortgage-free, suggesting they were bought with cash. And this would have been around the same time that he allegedly received the $5 million windfall from Diddy. This ex-wife lost contact with him until she learned about the dramatic pew pew with cops in May 2018. After carrying an American flag into a golf resort lobby, Adi began shouting about Trump before allegedly pew pew at officers who shot him in the legs before arresting him. He faces charges of attempted unalive of law enforcement officers, armed burglary, armed grand theft, and is still in a Florida jail awaiting trial. And this happened like so long ago, y'all. What happened to the right to the speedy trial? This was 7 years ago this happened. His apparent breakdown came just months before Cassie ended her relationship with Diddy for good, the ex-wife pointed out. And look, I mean, there's Britney Spears. There's Britney Jean Spears just right there. I don't think it's a coincidence. So if any of this is true, that P. Diddy abused Cassie or was being aggressive, Johnny definitely would have softened that situation and wouldn't have tolerated the abuse. Instead, he would have tried to help the situation and not make Cassie feel bad about it. That's very nice for somebody's ex-wife to say about him. I mean, she said it made me feel, it made me feel better that Johnny was there because he would have softened the situation. I mean, I'm not saying it's true. I have no idea, but it's like, okay, someone's ex-wife saying this about him. That's shocking. The ex-wife said she has spoken to Jonathan Adi since his arrest. And Jonathan Adi had heard that his interrogation video with the police had resurfaced in the wake of the damaging allegations against Combs. Cassie accused Diddy of bleep, bleep, and bleep during their on and off relationship spanning 10 years in that lawsuit she filed in November 2023. Diddy allegedly forced her to engage in certain acts with multiple male-s workers while he was taking care of his own self and filming the whole thing, the complaint states, matching some of the claims that Adi had made. Quote, "He's scared I will expose him," Adi said about Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. Jonathan Adi said, "Diddy is scared I'm going to expose him." He said that to the police. "My settlement put me in a box. Basically, I couldn't talk because I was going to be sued. They kept following me. It isn't known who they is or what Adi is referring to." Oh, excuse me. It isn't exactly known who, quote, they is that Adi was referring to. Diddy is alleged to have forced his victims into freak-offs, days-long bleep, involving male-s workers. Federal prosecutors alleged in a superseding indictment filed 2 months ago, sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Diddy, quote, kept videos he filmed of them engaging in S acts with commercial S workers. Prosecutors wrote in the criminal complaint. After FOs, Diddy and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and substance use. Diddy has pleaded not guilty and denied all the allegations against him. He appeared in a Manhattan court this week for jury selection in his criminal case, where Cassie is expected to testify next month. She ain't going to testify till next month? It's kind of weird. Reps for the rapper did not immediately respond to requests. So That's interesting. Some of y'all are also saying, don't forget Garagos. Diddy was on the phone with Daddy Garagos per Audie during the acts. What? Okay, CMT, somebody put it in the comments, put it in the live chat. What's the timestamp? I don't know if I'm gonna watch it on this live, but I want to know where they say Garagos and the Diddy and the Audie. How did Diddy get all the time to do all this? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Where does anybody get time to do this stuff? I mean, that's really the question. The cops wrote their paperwork like Audie was finished at the Doral. He has been in their custody for years without a trial. Oh, did they EHC Bunny? They wrote it as if he was deceased? Oh, that's very interesting. We have to go back and watch his interrogation, y'all are saying. Letitia said, is it Letitia? Letitia. Yeah. And Ben Missilis. I know a lot of y'all keep saying his name. They say Diddy never slept, somebody said. Angela said. We need a live featuring Mims and Pascal like that last time. Yeah, that would be fun. They tried to make the public believe Audie was not on it. They did? Yeah, no, I remember. There were even like YouTubers reporting on it, right? Like, he's not even alive anymore. He's not in the jail anymore. He's not. And it was like other YouTubers like, yes, he is. Look, you can search his name. What are you talking about? 9.5 minutes into the interrogation, he says something about Garagos. Okay, thank you. Good to know. Let me write that down. That's so funny. I don't know. YouTube attorneys. I don't know what a YouTube attorney is. Not me. I'm a lawyer. Good afternoon, beautiful souls. Good afternoon. Crazy. Let's watch the intro. Yeah, we will. 2014. What was 2014? Okay, so to wrap up the jury thing, all right, they're coming back on Friday. But it does appear that this group of 45 people that's where the jury is going to come from. I personally would strike the UN person. I would strike that person wants to be on the jury too bad and is very much downplaying their, roles and different things with the government and law enforcement. If you go to Miami Sal, you can read his file. Yeah, I'll have to go. Wait, what? Miami SAO? Miami's AO. I don't know what that means. But yeah, so it does look like the jury selection process maybe is only going to take this, 3 or 4 days. Tomorrow, I don't know what they have planned. I don't think anything's planned for the Diddy trial tomorrow. Yeah, I think they're just going to come back on Monday at 9 a.m. We'll see if Inner City Press is going to be there. If he's going to be there, then I'll be doing this again. I'll see y'all then. But in the meantime, I'll have a lot of different videos coming out. I did do a Met Gala react and roast. I know this is what I've always been holding out for. Like, what if they're gearing up to make it obvious, maybe they're gearing up to make Jonathan Audie seem more credible. Maybe they are going to use him as a witness. Let me check the pacer one more time. Cause it's like, I just feel like stuff's going to be getting filed. You know what I mean? Let me check the pacer. And look, let me show y'all. Derek Lee Cardello Smith has also filed a new lawsuit, a new writ of habeas corpus yesterday. See, May 6th. Checking the Diddy docket. They did get out of court just, a few hours ago now. I think 3 hours ago. So no, nothing new has been filed. Nothing new has been filed. Thanks so much, HRC, for the super sticker, 499 super sticker. I think I had set like a funny joke goal that I would actually take a sip of water for every super chat I got. I don't know if I did that or not. I don't think I really kept up with it. Sorry. It was kind of a joke anyway, but there was a few gulps. For y'all. Thanks so much for that 499 super chat. I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for this. I know. We're coming through. Shout out to Christy modding. Shout out to Diamond Rainbow. Shout out to Simply Monica. All right, y'all. That's all I'm going to do for this one. Maybe I'll be live later if something else happens. Maybe I'll have another video coming out later. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Make sure you go watch the BJ Investigates. I did the Met Gala a roast. See y'all tomorrow or Friday or Monday at the latest. Anytime, facts ain't defamation, neither opinions. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Love you, Minnie K. Bye.